My mission at AI with Honor is to try to educate the folks as far as artificial intelligence, and by me learning and understanding and to be able to convey that definitely does give me an idea of where I need to be mindset wise about all the changes that are happening, all the money that's being dumped into it, everything that's happening on that particular realm. It's really important to pay attention to because realistically, this is something that's way beyond all of our control. It's being implemented so quickly. There are no brakes that I can see that people are placing on it, at least in certain circumstances. Ethics are something that people do talk about as being very important to the integration of artificial intelligence, putting up those guardrails or controls. But that all depends on the data, and the data, in some cases, well, in fact, all cases, is biased in some way, shape, or another. You will see that if it is trained on, let's say, Facebook data, and that Facebook data is talking about a certain subject, you can see how if that's all that model knows, then it's probably going to sway towards whatever direction that particular Facebook data happens to be about. And then you parse that into the other sectors into the world, and you can find out that, in fact, if you're using a particular model, it might have certain prejudices built into it just because of the data. In the future, they'll probably have synthetic data, and I know that they're using that as well. So you take a data stream and then you have the system make up its own data, working like the Whopper supercomputer back in War Games when that movie came out. Whopper, War Operation, something response, maybe. Basically, the computer was engaging in war games, one after another, and it was all about global thermonuclear war. So the machine would play scenarios and scenarios and scenarios about global thermonuclear war. At the very end, as a result, the machine did develop the idea that maybe playing this game, well, that one at least, it's better not to even start because there is no winning in that kind of a scenario. So that particular computer, we have the artificial intelligence models actually learning off data that it's creating. They've built some more narrow AI or more focused artificial intelligence that's very good at a certain thing, maybe playing chess or playing Go, playing video games. They have other ones that have been built directly to do chemistry and do basically microorganism research, medicine research. So these are very narrow AIs. The whole goal, I believe, of the system is getting to this general intelligence where you would basically just have one source and you would be able to talk to it and say, I want this. And whether it would be just completely wide and open and know everything. And then after that, depending how integrated it was into our world, then you have that super intelligence. I watch a lot of people on podcasts talk about it when they're trying to wrap their mind around these things, as am I. So it's not very easy to do, but I remember before 2023, and if you recall, that's kind of when ChatGPT and OpenAI came out and everybody was very excited. It was the 3.5 model. Now they have up to the O3 model being out there, and they skipped O2, so they had the O1, and now they have O3 and O2. I believe it was trademarked by some company, so they didn't mess with it. They just skipped it and went to this model. These different artificial intelligence, like that one, like Grok 3, you have Gemini out there, you have Copilot with Microsoft, you have different servers as well, like Perplexity, that also have their own but pull on others. You have DeepSeek, which is the Chinese company, and I believe recently Perplexity took that model and basically stripped it out of all the Chinese bias, which was built in, because I guess in China, if you live there, if you're a resident using their internet infrastructure and you're asking particular questions, those questions are either answered in such a way, well, they're answered in the way that the government, I guess, would like. And I can't say that doesn't happen here. I would hope here in America we're completely unlocked, but I'm sure there are cases that if we're asking particular questions, the system isn't going to give them to us. Maybe how to build an atomic warhead or a nuclear warhead to be able to do whatever horrible things, or maybe a biological weapon. Maybe it does cut out on that type of thing, but you have these systems like that that are Perplexity University, I know that they took it and I guess they stripped it of all that bias. So it's really just fantastic. So there's a lot of different ones. Which one should you use? Well, that's going to be up to you. All I would say is in the world that you're in, you definitely want to explore and you want to check and use all of these different things to see which one fits best. It could be that some of the systems are better at certain things that you want to do. I know that I have people that are in my life that are writing novels and these sorts of things. So they found that different systems work better for that. I know for my real estate business, as I'm putting together information, that there are certain things that work better for that. And again, Grok 3, as it just came out recently, it's absolutely fabulous. And that does work very well with what I do in real estate, but I don't like the formatting as it provides it on the screen. It's like the other one, the O1 model or the 4.0 model. It does better for me as far as ChatGPT goes when it formats, but I've also been working with it longer, so it kind of knows a little bit about what I like. Also, for most of the systems, at least the one with OpenAI, ChatGPT, I can get into the settings and I can kind of say, hey, this is how I like things. I'm Connor McIver. I'm a local Santa Clarita real estate agent, all of that nonsense. So I'll float it in there, put the information in, and then usually when it gives me information, it's helpful. Now, if you are a real estate agent, this goes out to you. And if you have a website that you've been publishing content on, that's fantastic. Make sure that you use that. And if your website's capable of pulling a sitemap, that's a big deal, because part of my process when I'm having it construct a blog post for me about the daily real estate activity, you want to see examples of these, go to santaclaritaopenhouses.com/blog. Not a selfish plug, it's just kind of the fact. So you'll look in there and certain articles, even if you see the surveys in there and other things, that's actually was created by Grok 3. It's in HTML, and I had to play with it a couple times to get the settings correct as far as the screen width, but it created an HTML page with Q&A, either for businesses. I did one for a survey. I had it create for me a survey. Would you want to buy now? Why wouldn't you want to buy now? And then it creates this beautiful form that I was able to publish and put out there on my blog. So having said that, when I'm asking it to put together a blog article, for example, I'll have it utilize my sitemap so it does proper linking strategy. And I don't know if you've, from the day when you wrote your own blog content or you were writing articles, that wasn't that long ago, just a couple of years ago, it was really labor intensive to be able to link to other places within the website besides the general stuff. So for real estate, we have a house search for Valencia, let's say. To be able to bring that into the text, it's not that difficult. You just basically highlight the text and then you link to it to this particular page in your website that you use to have people go to that particular URL that they go to search for Valencia houses. But with ChatGPT and even Grok 3, you give it your sitemap, and oh my gosh, you say link to the proper SEO optimized text. I know SEO stands for search engine optimization. I still throw in the word optimization. It would probably do it without it, but by habit. So I'll ask it to go ahead and link the proper text in that article and the best SEO strategy utilizing my sitemap from santaclaritaopenhouses.com. I believe it's /XML or a sitemap or something of that nature. But whatever it is, so that way that saves hours of time. What information do I feed it? So what I do every day within the real estate world, and I do this for other agents as well, I take the daily information that I glean from the multiple listing service. I have it crunch numbers for statistics as far as what type of listings happen to be for sale. How does that differ from last month or a year ago? Where are the prices currently? Are we trending upward? Are we trending flat? Are we trending down? And then give me an overall picture. I take all that data and I use other artificial intelligence type resources like Notebook LM. Notebook LM is great because it will create a podcast, and that's fine. I think a lot of people, when they're looking online, and I know I get feedback about this, I don't do anything artificial. So I don't have myself cloned. This is me. But there are other people out there that have businesses like mine besides real estate, but also basically AI integration businesses where people or agents call me and they say, hey, you have a real estate business. And then I have a questionnaire that I send them basically outlining where they currently are. And then we look at that and we do a diagnostic check and we find out the best ways to incorporate where they are in business currently with the current AI systems. Now, having said that, this is going to be an ongoing process until the systems get to that artificial general intelligence, and that's going to be that place where basically I believe we'll have something. And this is if they open it up like this. And I think there could be a lot of danger with not having more narrow artificial intelligence, but this wide, grand artificial general intelligence, because that system, well, it's basically going to be able to do everything. So it would be the same system that a scientist would use to ask it for some DNA sequence of a marble fish located in the Pacific Ocean. That's probably not even a real thing, but basically you take that and give me this, or how can I fix this particular health problem I have? Here's the most recent blood test I have, and then have it regurgitate that, instead of basically having something more narrow like maybe a doctor's office would use, or somebody that's doing protein research would use, or microbiologists or nuclear physicists or quantum theorists, all of these different disciplines. Maybe at some point when it does get to the general world, general AI, then it'll be there. That super intelligence, at least for me, the way I grasp it, and I'm sure people will comment, which I'm very thankful for that. That intelligence is going to be that point where it actually is integrated with everything. So maybe not so much human implants that give us that connective as we're just walking around, but maybe at least in everything else. So from dinner reservations to making your payments on your stuff, if there are even jobs in the future, and everything in between. And then even additional things, being able to give you an idea on lifespan. These are going to be things that are going to be incredible to watch. And I do know with the development of these different things, different AI models, and the artificial general to super, it's moving a lot faster than anybody had expected. I know they've been working on this for a long time. If you're new in the AI space, realize this has been worked on since, test back in the 50s. I think it was Alan Turing in 54 or 53. He kind of postulated this idea or this theory, saying, computer is going to be as good as a human being, as smart, or able to basically fool another human being that will have passed the Turing test. I believe we're there with AIs that are built in that framework. Now, if you take as the systems get more and more intelligent, then we'll start seeing them take on even different shapes. Right now, I know we're lacking the integration. Here I am. I'm doing a video talking into a webcam with a Rode microphone here in front of me. So that's how I'm doing this. But when I'm recording shows, a lot of times I'll use my iPhone and I'll use these Rode mics, which are fantastic. Not because I don't have a hot mic for the phone, I do, but these are wonderful because I can put these on my shirt and then I can speak into the microphone. But when I'm done with this video, I take it and I put it into CapCut. I'm recording it with Camtasia, then I put it into CapCut, which is an AI interface video editing program. It's got a lot of cool bells and whistles. So I'll put it in there and then I'll ask to add for me the captions. So, but then I have to go through it, not so much with this type of video, but just talking to the agents out there. If you're in an area and you're doing a video about a particular city or cities or neighborhoods, a lot of times maybe your enunciation isn't as it should be. I know when I'm talking about Santa Clarita, usually the Clarita I kind of move over quickly. So I'll say Clarita. And then if you'll look, and I'll be putting captions over this, it might say something else like Clito. I know Santa Clarita, Santa kind of sounds like Clito to the system that's doing the transcribing and also placing those particular captions. So then I have to go back and I have to look. I just don't want there to be junk out there that I produce. But sometimes, you know what? I miss it, and I miss where I said it because I said it so many times in a particular video show that, I spaces. That reminds me, one of the big things I talk about when I'm presenting to agents, either at my company or elsewhere, is double checking what it churns out. Now, I'm not talking about captions, but if you're asking, because if you're doing this video, you're either reading it from a teleprompter or you're just kind of doing some of what you read earlier. That's how I do this. I have notes here that I've been working on as far as the news from artificial intelligence, kind of a general outline, but I'm still really on the first thing, life before AI. And I haven't even gotten to headlines, bridging generation, subtle integration into real estate, or any of that stuff. I guess I've been talking a little bit about the real integration, but looking at the way that these systems have developed, looking at where they are currently, and looking at where they're going to be, really, when I'm developing these business for people that are coming to me wanting to know how to best integrate artificial intelligence into their business structure, there's a lot to look at. And a lot of people start with the lead portion of it. And yes, artificial intelligence is fantastic at building things that people want to know more about. So if you have a real estate business and there's a particular grant program that's been established, you're going to be better off using AI to help you build an ad on Facebook or Instagram about that particular grant instead of potentially just doing it on your own. AI is going to know the proper way to say it, and AI is going to be able to even validate it probably more than you, because realistically, depending on the model, you're using an expert in that field, because you can tell it that you can announce to it that it is an expert in the field. Whenever I'm having it produce content for me, it is the real estate expert in Santa Clarita, a master of advertising and marketing, and understands everything about search engine optimization, getting me above the fold on Google, and also being the having to implement the best SEO strategies for YouTube titles, YouTube descriptions, hashtags, and all of the other things that I put together. So I announce what it is, and then I have it embark on the daily research and the daily information that I put into it. There's a lot of ways to interact with it. I do know that the screen capture on my computer, it's a lifesaver. I'm unable to copy and paste text, or I have PDFs and I want to just take a whole bunch of information. I can just basically capture a picture of the text and then put it in there. Also, of course, copy and pasting text into is fantastically valuable. Some of the things that I would use, let's say I have 20 YouTube shorts that I'm going to be working on. I want those titles to be, of course, true and accurate, not clickbait stuff, but accurate as to what I'm producing. But I'll take all those titles and I'll basically take a screenshot of all the titles as they're in my folder, and then I'll drop that into ChatGPT, and it'll have the narrative from the entire broadcast that I put together. And I'll say, how do we make these titles better for the content that actually exists? And then it'll go through and it'll having read the actual transcription of the video, it'll then put it all together. And then I can have ChatGPT produce for me an SRT file, which will have the timestamps in it. And then that gives it a lot of value and a lot of weight to YouTube when I'm producing. So you know where each the broadcast happens to be. Like, this thing is going to be over 20 minutes by the time I'm finished. So to have those in case somebody wants to skip around is super valuable. That, in addition to the other things I use for AI, is another benefit of me using the technology. What they're selling. Most of these systems are relatively inexpensive, if not free. I do know that I see people with a $200 a month model and ChatGPT, and while it probably has value, I'm not really trying to have it create some biological structure that a nuclear physicist might be looking at when they're asking particular questions. It's real estate or it's artificial intelligence implementation. And those systems, the ones that just to pay for per month or even the free ones, do a good job. If I want to start building something for a client, let's say I want to build a chatbot that goes on the real estate website, then I use something a lot more narrow, just made for that, a system that's just made for that. But my intake is really valuable. So I need to talk to the client and find out how they want their chatbot to operate. And then when there is interaction with the chatbot, where does that information go? And what do they want the result to be? What's important for them? Do they want the chat bot just to save them time talking on the phone? Do they want it to basically take care of a customer complaint if it goes there? Or do they want it to set an appointment or a time for a callback? What is the functionality of the chatbot going to be in their particular business? So then once I have that put together and I have their intake form and I understand exactly the drive behind it, I also want to know, and like a side question, where does the data go from the chatbot? So if somebody's going to be talking to somebody, a person on your website via chatbot, and the person is comfortable enough to give up their personal information wherever they came from, if it's forced Facebook registration or Instagram or one of these things. But let's say that they give it up within the chat because they feel comfortable enough, you're a trusted source and these sorts of things. Where does that information go? Does it go into a database so you can keep talking to them over time, which is super important for real estate agents because most of us, when we get a lead, we kind of forget about it and move on, especially if they're calling about maybe a rental. Let's say that agent doesn't handle rental or lease properties. And, why would you refer it? Maybe they might think to themselves. But if a person in real estate is willing to call you, willing to give up their information to you, honor that. Don't throw that aside. You never know. Don't hammer them with BS, but at least know that let them know that they're important enough for you to talk to and take that time with them to help them. If you don't do rentals or leases, hey, let me show you a good resource. I actually have rentals and leases on my website. If you would like see this inventory, let me send it to you. Then what happens if you see anything you like, let me know, and I'll put you in touch with the actual agent handling the property management part of that particular listing. Go talk to them. Now, I wouldn't recommend this in a real estate resale world. I mean, you go in a dealership, and if you know that relationship that happens, I did a show on this morning. The relationship that happens between you and the salesperson, the car dealership, they're not on your side. See, the car salesman is on the dealer's side, right? And real estate is very similar. You go to the person with the listing, he's on the seller's side. So it's okay when a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to hire the agent representing the seller." I would say let's slow down a little bit, Haas, and pull back. Think to yourself, maybe it's better for you to have your own agent on your own side. And I say this because at a car dealership, I got a buddy of mine. He's wicked smart. When I buy a car, he comes with me. And great guy, and I'll buy him dinner he wants because he'll save me thousands of dollars because he's on my side. So he'll sit there, and usually within 2 or 3 hours, he gets the best deal possible on the car. There is no better deal. I don't care where you go. He basically pulled everything out, and we are paying the lowest price for the car, whether it's cash or whether it's finance. I mean, he's just a worker. So that's what I have on my side. Does it cost me? He's a friend. So it costs me maybe dinner, and he always refuses it, but I still do it anyway. Or I'm very kind to him. I'll give him a gift certificate to some place. I mean, that's value. Same thing in real estate. When you're going to buy a house, you want somebody on your side. The salesman at the car dealership is on the dealer's side. That's why you come out of there all frazzled and rough and stressed, and you leave and you come back. And I had a salesman say, "Oh, well, if you're going to come back," I said, "Yeah, I'll come back. I got to go think about it." "Well, lend me your watch." I said, "What? Leave me your watch so I know you're coming back." I said, "Okay, come on. We're going to play these games. Maybe I won't come back. Maybe I'm just saying that to get away from you. Let's be honest here. But when it comes to real estate, you want your own agent on your own side." Having said that, when you start to negotiate, these AI systems really help in the way that they can also look at the information that you and the buyers and sellers have out there. You, as real estate agents, should also be using it to look at your contracts. It's not the solve all end all. It's not trained on real estate contracts, but the regular general artificial intelligence, the regular chat AI or Grok 3, oh my gosh, they're pretty remarkable on what they say. Now, are you going to depend on them 100% being the gospel from the mouth of the Lord? Probably not. In fact, I think that would be an error. But I have heard in the medical world that at some point, without the doctor actually talking with artificial intelligence, getting an opinion at some point in the future, that would be considered malpractice. Interesting thought. We'll have to see how far it goes. Finally, teaching. There's a lot of artificial intelligence being used in the classroom. And if you don't think this is meaningful, you might want to think again, because the way that it's scripted, it can actually watch faces. And when the art, and I think you might have seen them where in other countries, and even here probably, they have AI that's integrated with a video camera, and it can tell attitude, it can tell focus, it can tell identity, it can tell a lot of things about a person just by looking at their face. If you have a classroom full of kids, this AI, if it's integrated with some kind of a robot or a bot or on a camera, maybe it's a teaching aid, it can look at all the kids and it can tell the teacher, hey, this kid here has no clue what you're talking about. This kid here staring out of the window, they need more attention, they need this, they need that, and then make recommendations based on them. So all 20 or 30 students in the classroom become even better than they would normally, because I know this is going to go against a lot of folks because it could equate to job loss at some point in the future. And hell, brother, sister, we're all going to be facing a big change in the world. That's why it's important for you to at least start learning about, if you have a particular job, see how AI can help you, like I've done in real estate, like I've done with another principal business that I have formed about helping people integrate it into their world. If you do a particular thing, and that's your job, see how AI can help you. Now, I know there's going to be restrictions as far as certain employers saying, hey, you can't use it, can't use it for this, you can't use it for this, that. But when you go home, not that you're going to take out any sensitive data that's held or a particular type of clearance or whatever it may be. But again, you can maybe ask questions as long as it's not going to put you or the business in jeopardy and expose things that maybe shouldn't be put out there for public preview, because really the systems are trained on data and they're trained on what we say. I do know it's been a long time since I've signed up, but I believe there was some kind that I signed up. I said, as far as being willing to share what I'm writing on here with others, and I don't know whether I checked yes or no, but definitely it's something to watch. If you're worried about people in the world knowing what you're up to, honey, that car has already left the building. It's already out there. We're listened to all the time. Our phones listen. Everybody listens. And every device, everything. It's already out there. I don't mean that means we should just bend over and say, take it, but it's out there. Don't be super concerned anymore. Just be a little careful. And if you're going to be typing something into it that's totally racist or totally end of the worldish, or you want to destroy certain things, you shouldn't do that anyway. You might want to go get some help. I know that probably pretty soon, for those of us, those people that have mental issues, it's probably going to be a good source to rely on, at least at some point. That's probably going to be more of a narrow type AI, more focused on a particular thing. But the way the world's changing, you have Microsoft popping out with their million qubit chip, and that breaks into the quantum realm. You have, superconductors that solve off that whole world. The way the power is supplied to these massive data centers, Apple coming, all this. If they could make a superconductor that worked at room temperature, that would game changer for the entire world. Right now, those superconductors need to be cooled, and it takes a lot of energy to keep them cooled. So to try to put a data center in the Sahara Desert, probably not cost effective. Try to put a whole bunch of solar panels in the not again, that heat is a problem, and the conductors have to be cooled. But if somebody out there is working on it, take it from Connor with honor, please. If you can get a room temperature superconductor, oh, you just work again. You're settled. Anyway, I hope this helps. I know it's a lot, but there is a lot. And I'll be back to you on the next one. I'll split this show up into shorts, but don't forget, AI with honor. If you're looking at something, if you're a real estate agent or a business, and you're incorporating artificial intelligence, don't just run in blindly. Look at what it produces. Have it take a moment to read what it gives you before posting it, because at the end of the day, you're responsible for what you do. They're building these things so fast, without a lot of guardrails, without a lot of ethics imposed. It's going to be up at us, up to the race as a human race, human beings, to be able to hopefully keep everything in check. Is it going to run away and steal the farm? It just may. But I do know humans are very resilient. I don't want to say we're so incredibly special, we would never let that happen, because it seems like everybody's chasing the money. When I see all the billions of dollars that are being invested into this, and then I see one of the big systems out there pulling back and not investing as much as they thought they were going to do to invest, I'm thinking, that's probably because found that there is an easier, more or less expensive way to produce something that's going to blow us all out of the water in a good way. A very smart form of artificial intelligence, maybe artificial general intelligence. And then beyond that, it's really hard to really imagine what's going to be that next level. That would be something a futurist might be pretty good at. But even I think a lot of them are stumped as to what this is going to look like. We can't even figure out how the job situation is going to look. If you have a business out there, I know I said I was over. If you have a business out there that's operating with 200 employees that are maybe pencil pushers, or they're sitting in front of computer screens all day, not whittling wood, nice knife. Maybe those particular jobs might go the way of AI. What's to keep that business owner employing those people versus letting them go and using artificial intelligence when it gets to that standard, and it's probably already there, but using that to be able to solve those no. Hopefully somebody will have the view. I know I'm always thinking about it. I'm interacting. I'm trying to do my part and talking to other people. The people that I know that are in power, I try to talk to them as well. Please, you do the same. I'm Connor with Honor. Over and out.